Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina. I'm your host and past president, Josh Sprague. I'd like to extend a very special welcome to our guests, prospective members, and any visiting Rotarians who are here with us on the Zoom call today. And also, I would like to ask all of you to reach out to our current president, Sam Thompson, who's a little bit under the weather after surgery. Just shoot him a text and let him know you're thinking of him, as I'm his substitute today. Before we get started on the call, I just wanted to remind you of a few best practices that will help to increase the positivity of your experience on the call today. First of all, mute your audio during the presentation. Please rename yourself in your participants list if you're called J-phone or some other abbreviation. Use the chat for questions and socializing today. We're a very social group and we'd love to hear what you have going on, guests, what's your classification, your industry, and what you do for a living. And then please remember this meeting is being recorded for posterity. So before we get started, I wanted to just tell you a little bit about what Rotary is. Rotary is the largest humanitarian service network in the world. In 35,000 clubs in over 200 countries, business, professional, and community leaders just like us of all ages and all stripes come together each week for fellowship, to organize local and international service projects, and to learn more about what's going on in the community and the world. It's a great place to be. And let me just show you a quick video clip that I think says it all.
Our connections make powerful things happen, uniting individuals and communities. We are Rotary. We are people of action. With over 1 million members, we know what people can do when they come together. Around the world, generations of leaders build new friendships and solve problems, turning great ideas into reality. Take action with us. Find out more at Rotary.org.
And so what are the benefits of Rotary? There are so many, but let me just highlight a few. First of all, we are our main primary purpose is service. At our particular club, we have 42 committees working on scores of projects across the metro and actually around the world. And there's lots of opportunities for people to match up your particular passion or interest in service with something that we're doing at the club. Fellowship is another great benefit of Rotary. Our club is very social, very gregarious. And in addition to this weekly meeting and the connections you make serving on these service committees, we also have outside social events, including fireside chats, monthly happy hours, and outside social events at theaters when there is theaters available, and concerts and all kinds of really fun things. It's really a great social connection to make at the club as well as that service. From those first two things also comes great networking opportunities, a chance for you not to short-term prospect for business. This is not a chamber of commerce, but to build long-term relationships with people that leads to business in the future. Also personal and professional growth. I can't even tell you as a person what it's meant for me to be involved in this Rotary Club and how it's changed my life and my family's life, but it's been such a positive influence both on a personal and professional level. There's also tons of leadership development opportunities, working on committees and various things actually at our club and at the district, and international travel as well. So let me just share a few of the things we're working on. This is Camp E, an annual leadership academy where we train and local high schoolers from all around the state on the free enterprise system. And they kind of build these teams that work on new products and services and then present them to a Shark Tank-like board of venture capitalists. And it's a really fun weekend. It's been going on for almost 40 years. We also do an annual ethics workshop when times are normal at St. Patrick's Church. Here you see from a couple of years ago, the participants from the high school And that is focused on the four-way test, Rotary's ethical four-way test, and how that applies to real-world ethical situations. We also have various district-wide workshops. Here's pictures from the Human Trafficking Workshop 1. We also did Human Trafficking Workshop Roman numeral 2 this year. Check out the crowds for these events. It's great exposure for the club and for the topics that we are working on, which are usually state or national topics of interest. We also do Thanksgiving baskets every year to get Thanksgiving baskets and food out to local families. We also sponsor an Interact Club at the high school, which is a junior Rotary Club, as well as a Rotaract Club for young professionals 18 and older. And this is international travel opportunities as well. A recent trip to Guatemala where we delivered hundreds of water purifiers to villagers in the highlands above Coban, Guatemala. So we're just missing one thing to make our club and our world a better place, and that's you. So we hope you will come and join our Rotary team in the near future and be part of all this club and this international organization has to offer. And now I'd like to thank today's volunteers who helped make this meeting possible and invite our future president, Shelly Loberg, and current officer to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, the four-way test, and the invocation. Shelly?
Thank you, Josh. Good afternoon, everyone. Would you bow your heads with me for a moment? Dear God, today we stay focused on the objectives that we have for the world, which are peace, tranquility, a true brotherhood of man, freedom from hunger, from oppression, from sickness, the freedom to choose our own destinies. We reaffirm our commitment to our simple Rotary four-way test, and we give thanks for all of the blessings and opportunities and responsibilities that befall us as Rotarians. We continue in this new year with optimism, renewed energy, and a commitment to service to you and our fellow men and women. Help us to serve. Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And of the things that we think, say, and do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Play ball. Thanks, Shelly. Okay, we have a lot of guests today, and I want to invite our guests to just quickly come off mute. And when I say your name, just say your name and your classification. And then in the group chat, tell us a little bit more about what you do for a living. So for the purposes of right now, we're just getting your name and your industry. Let's start with Kevin Armstrong. Are you on the call? Okay, Gay Clapp.
Josh, it's Gay Clapp. Did you want me to just say my name for now and we'll do more later?
And tell us your industry and your title.
Okay, sure. I'm an attorney. I practice in Edina. I do wills and estates.
Thank you very much. Ruggs Coat.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ruggs, yeah, I work at the summer camps with Andre and my dad, Sam.
Good to have you, Ruggs. Marcus Edor. Sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly.
Mason Marcus Edor. I'm a financial risk manager for Citibank. Thanks.
Welcome, Marcus. Rob Hiller. Stephen Moore. How about Carlin? Okay, I know we got James Pierce.
Hi, Josh. Good morning. I'm just trying to work out the buttons here, but good morning, all. My name is Colin Pediachi, and I'm a business and estate planning attorney here in Bloomington, Edina.
Welcome. James?
James Pierce. Good afternoon with Cargill business development, and also Edina City Council.
Welcome, James.
Thank
Jordan.
you.
Jordan, are you with us?
Jordan Poydras. Sorry, I didn't know if it was me. Can you guys see me? Hello?
Hey.
My name is Jordan Poydras. I was invited by Sylvester. I actually didn't know I was to show my face. I would have been more dressed up than this, but I'm happy to
That's
be here.
okay.
Happy to listen to Lewis today. And yeah, I'm excited to be here. Hello.
Jordan, good to have you. Angie. Angie, are you here? How about Autumn?
Hi, Autumn Thomas, and I work in IT Human Capital Consulting.
Welcome, Autumn. Bryce.
Hello, my name is Bryce Thomas, and I'm a business development manager, and I work in
Bryce.
automotive financial services.
Good to have you. Last but not least, Michael Thornton.
Apologies, I was
Michael,
on
are you
double mute there. I am. Good morning.
Michael,
can you hear me?
What's up? Yeah.
Nice to see you. Thanks for having me. My name is Michael Thornton. I'm a small business banker here in the Edina area.
Welcome, Michael, and welcome to all of our guests. I invite you to check out the group chat. Our membership director, Rob, is going to be putting some links in there to our club brochure as well as to our application, which talks about the membership process a little bit. And again, please share about your business more in our group chat as we move forward. Now I'm going to move on to a quick member update passed along to me from our president, Sam Thompson. This one is about Jeff O. In December, the O family had two celebrations as Jeff and Allie celebrated their 15th wedding anniversary and as son Sanders became a teenager. As avid Gophers football and basketball fans, we're told the O family has really missed going to games together. But apparently, this has given Jeff more time to practice his golf swing this winter, as both of his sons have him in their crosshairs to beat next summer. Here are a few quick photos of Jeff in action on the golf course last summer. Looks like the boys might have their work cut out for them. Wow. That practice is really paying off. Oh. Okay, on to some quick announcements. First off, Jennifer Bennerotte, the co-chair of the Race and Equity Committee, is going to tell us a little bit about the book club. Jennifer?
Thank you, Josh. As you know from Sylvester Thomas, who is leading our club's Race and Equity Committee, our club is working to increase diversity in our membership, bring awareness of race and equity issues in Edina and the Twin Cities area, develop leaders of color, and support organizations that assist people of color. One way in our club that we can work to bring awareness of race and equity issues is through our great weekly program speakers. Another way we can do that is by talking about it in groups. So to kick off some of that group discussion, our committee is going to lead a sort of book club. We want as many of our club members as possible to read the book, White Fragility, Why It's So Hard for White People to Talk About Racism. This is a New York Times best-selling book, and it explores the counterproductive reactions white people have when their assumptions about race are challenged. Several other Rotary clubs have done a book club like this, and they found it to be a really great experience, bringing the club together and helping us to be leaders in this area in our community. So our club will provide you with a copy of this book if you've not already read it. So if you'd like a copy, please let me know by the end of business tomorrow. I'll get those books sent to you. In February, we will start meeting on probably an every other week basis to talk about a couple of chapters of the book and share our perspectives. If you've already read the book, we'd love to have you participate in our discussions as well. So let me know if you're in for that. So again, deadline tomorrow if you want me to send you a free copy of the book. Thanks so much, Josh.
Awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. And remember, free copies. I already got mine. Where do you get a free book in this world, right? Thanks again for organizing that. Okay, moving on. We have two upcoming guests on Zoom through our Human Trafficking Committee. First one is January 14th, and the second one is January 28th. A registration for these is required, and you'll see those coming through our Club Runner email application shortly if you haven't received them already. We also have a live chartering event coming up for the brand new club, which is the Club of Network for Empowering Women. Here's the invitation here. I've seen invites going out through email, and this is on the 17th. We also have Rob Hiller, who should be on the call, our guest speaker for the next part of our leadership development series, and it's entitled Quickly Becoming Emotionally Intelligent. That's happening on January 19th. A lot of great events coming up, again on Zoom. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Sylvester Thomas, who will bring us today's program. Sylvester joined the club in October of 2018 and was sponsored by Greg Hanks, a former Edina Rotarian and director of the Southdale Y. Sylvester's classification is financial services, which he's been at for 38 years, and he's a vice president and branch manager of Cetera Financial in Edina. Also, as of late, Sylvester is the co-chair of the Race and Equity Committee for our club, and also the chair of the Diversity and Inclusion Council for all of his company nationwide. That's pretty cool. Joining him on the Race and Equity Committee are fellow Edina Rotarians Jennifer Bennerotte, Andre Brewer, Kelly Burnett, Catherine Gump, Forrest Green, Bridget Hallstrom, Don Hutchinson, Sutton McGraw, Toshi Metzger, myself, and Susan Stiles. Now, Sylvester and his wife Tanya have been married for 33 years and have 3 grown children, including daughters Autumn and Bryce, which I believe are on the call, and son Sterling. Please help me welcome my friend and fellow Rotarian, Sylvester Thomas.
Thanks, Josh. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. Before I share with you some impressive facts about Louis King II, I would like to take you back to how I first met Mr. King. It was about 2 years ago, and I had just relocated to Minnesota. My family and I were having lunch at Mr. King's eatery, and he approached my family, and we immediately found common ground from our previous life in Jacksonville, Florida. Since I was new to the community, he offered to introduce me to other professionals in the community, and he lived up to his promise. Louis King has over 20 years of experience in education, youth, and workforce development. As president and CEO of Summit Academy, OIC, Louis has grown Summit to about $8 million organizational, delivering education and training to over 1,000 adults annually. In addition to his work at Summit, Louis King also serves on several boards: Alina Health, Soresai, Walburn Foundation for Children, and OIC of America. He was a member of the Rotary Club No. 9, a native Floridian and Morehouse College grad with a BA in political science. Mr. King served in the Army for 10 years, achieving the rank of Major, and was an ROTC recruiter. He is married to his wife Beverly and has 3 adult children, Aja, Kamira, and Lauren. He currently lives on 4 acres of land in Lake Elmo. Summit Academy OIC is the only accredited career and tech education CTE training and job placement program in North Minneapolis. They educate and support students and also pursue systems change that directly increase economic opportunity for poor families, people of color, and women. Summit Academy offers a 20-week CTE training in the high-demand fields of construction, healthcare, and IT, in addition to an accelerated 30-week GED to certification program. They also offer training at no cost to the students, with no out-of-pocket expense or loans. His favorite inspirational quote is, "The best social service program in the world is a job." I'm honored this afternoon to welcome Louis King II as our featured speaker on Prospective Member Day.
Well, thank you. I got to tell you, it would be disingenuous of me if I did not just tell you that the events of recent are weighing heavy on my heart and have altered my way of seeing the world. So what you're about to hear from me now is a post-January 6th perspective of what we need to do in our community to keep our country strong. And I speak of post-January 6th because prior to last week, I was just looking forward to being able to speak about a post-pandemic world and you know, going forward without being afraid to be around each other because of the germ. Prior to that, we had, if you recall, we live in a post 9/11 world. Nobody runs through airports anymore, and masks will be part of our lives for a long time. I don't know what post January 6th will look like, but let me assure you of something. We will get through this. And there are men like me and women who believe deeply in this country. And it's going to be a rough patch ahead because we got some heavy sledding to do. But we're going to defend this and we're going to be all right on the other side. Period. That now is the number one thing on my mind because as we saw last week, our police forces are infiltrated. We have members of the National Guard and Reserve been infiltrated. One thing about terror, you don't know who to trust. So we're back in the realm of if you see something, say something, and that person that you thought was weird, guess what? You nailed it. I always tell my wife and my children, there's no such thing as a secret. It's just that we often overlook it or we pretend that it doesn't really exist. And they caught us sleeping last week. They will not catch us sleeping twice. Guarantee it. And those people who did that thing, rest assured, they will be found and dealt with. Now, why am I talking about that? Because our town is just getting over a black eye from the George Floyd incident and the ensuing violence. And then out of that came these reckless calls for defunding the police. And I've been working behind the scenes for months to get things in place so that we can get beyond that and not be the poster child for negative ads in the 2022 cycle and people not want to come to our city and not want to do business here. And also we got to be safe, period. Downtown, uptown, north side, south side, we're going to be safe. That's the mark of a civilized country, that safety and infrastructure. And that piece is something that we all have to work on, but we have to here's an excellent opportunity to get to the underlying conditions. When I came here in 1989, I grew up in Jacksonville, Florida. To give you some background, I went to a high school, 2,000 kids, all black. And then I went to an all black male college. And then I was an Army officer for 10 years. So to come here, I had never seen this many white people. I said, oh, most people die and go to heaven and hell. White people die and go to Minnesota. I was supposed to be here for 3 years. Like Gilligan, I never left the island. I'm 60 now. I got here when I was 29. And I've fallen in love with this place. I've grown up here. But I noted that there was a distinct difference between the haves and the have-nots. I didn't know what a nonprofit was because in the military, you have 100% employment, 100% health care, 100% housing, and you also have 100% discipline. And as the commander, I could guarantee that. And when I was a commander, I was 27, 28 years old. So I immediately began to take a look at what was going on. I was like, aha, it's work. We got all these nonprofits and social service organizations with the grant writers who say, we're dealing with the worst of the worst and only we can do it, spend more money because it's getting worse. Philanthropy does not end hunger, end housing. The only thing that does that is work. And so we find ourselves beyond the civil rights movement and political rights, living in kind of an economic apartheid. I'm giving you this as a backdrop of my story. So I ran for school board, got elected. Hey, 4 years later, declared defeat, went home and said, I'll never do that again. I served in Minneapolis. And I decided to focus on putting people to work. All right. I thought the book that was shown earlier was it's interesting, it's apropos. You know, I'm a straight shooter, and I have some lifelong friends here. There's a man, Larry Henderson, who's been in my life since I was 31 years old, white guy. I love him like a pop. All right. I formed some deep relationships. And I'm going to tell you all today, if you were looking for someone to come and tell you about how bad things are in North Minneapolis and come and save the babies and all this and that, I'm not the guy. All right. In fact, what I'm going to show you here in a minute, African Americans are at an all-time, if you will, strongest position politically in our history in this country. After enduring 246 years of slavery, we were freed in 1865, and that's important to know. 246 years is a long time. But the first HBCU was formed in 1837, Cheney State. Here's something that you should note. Morehouse College, my alma mater, and Howard, where Kamala Harris graduated from, were both formed in 1867 at a time when public education was available for whites. Those people were just trying to start simple schools, and you'll see in a moment what they yielded. By 1916, we got our first economic victory as the country moved from agrarian to manufacturing, and the Great Migration began. 6 million African Americans left the South. And this is why people are still mad today, because the South had been decimated, all the infrastructure torn up, the men were killed off, and then 50 years later, the labor leaves.
Hey, John, can I get you to make your screen bigger to presenter mode and PowerPoint so we can see that a little better?
Let me try this. Ta-da. By 1954, the emergence of the Black middle class, Brown v. Topeka, Kansas, it took 11 years to get the Voting Rights Act. And then there's kind of a pushback, like after Reconstruction came Reagan and Nixon and devolution and the war on drugs and such, and all the affirmative action stuff kind of faded away and people got comfortable. Nevertheless, 43 years after getting the vote, the first Black president is elected. Now, mind you, these people just came out of 100 years of not being able to vote, and they produced this candidate who won in 43 years. In 2013, the young people say, hey, look, we're tired of the police carrying out the terror that keeps everybody in check. So Black Lives Matter shows up. 2017, Donald Trump is elected. And as I'm speaking of the post January 6th era, that era speaks for itself. 2020, Kamala Harris, George Floyd, which heightened the sense of social responsibility across corporate America and America in general, and COVID, which forced an accelerated tech migration. Look at this call that we're doing now. 60 plus people convened, none of us in the same room. I never use a landline anymore. We're never going back. We need hardware, software, connectivity, and security. And then Stacey Abrams, a Spelman grad, 1881, Ralph Warnock, another Morehouse grad, and Jamie Harrison, the guy that ran against Lindsey Graham, another Morehouse grad. So This just goes to show you the acceleration that's taking place. The question becomes, where will we be in the next 50 years, and how do we get there? And our responsibility as the leaders of this community is to recognize the challenge, recognize the opportunity, and lead this community forward. And I call you leaders because I've been affiliated with Rotary. I've met the people, and also when I got here, you know, you want to find out what's what and who's who, Edina, right? So there's some leadership responsibility there that we have to take on. This is my path for helping to move the needle. If you want to succeed, family education at work. And at Summit, we help you form a social network. I listened to the introduction. We're social people. So anytime you isolate someone out the mainstream of opportunity, which has been done very successfully, then, and you offer them charity, we set up a permanent underclass. And what Summit is built to do is to connect the two communities so that people can find their way to a middle class life. We just acquired 17,000 square feet space at the corner of Plymouth and Penn, formerly the Thor headquarters, and we're now shifting our emphasis from construction to IT. We're the largest construction trainer in the region. I led the diversity efforts on the Twin Stadium, TCF, and US Bank. This is how we're arrayed for the future. There was a company, Atomic Data, led by a guy, Jim Wilford, and my friend, Ted Mundell. They came in and got us into service desk and network operations. That has evolved into now our first app development course. We'll launch in February a cybersecurity course. We're moving away from all the bedpan type businesses in terms of healthcare, and we're adding estimating and building information modeling so that our folks can get into the future in construction. Our goal, the mission, very straightforward, put people into the middle class so they come to us with an average household income of $21,600. Most of our people are unemployed. When they leave after 20 weeks, no out-of-pocket costs, they're at $35,000. We're putting them into jobs where they can earn $50K within 2 years. What's special about that? If someone else in the house making virtually minimum wage was about $15, the household's at $65,000, and when they get to 50, the household's at $80,000. Now they're in the middle class. We tell this great lie in America that everyone is middle class. They're not. There are poor people out there, and people never call their names, and that's crime. Poor people do exist, and the only way to get them out is to ensure they have education and skills, and we include them in our social networks, which is how we get things done. Our success, I'm going to read this from bottom to top. In my business, the main game is how many people get jobs, because that's where your reputation lies. If someone comes to me and they don't get a job, at the end, they go back and they tell their friends, don't waste your time. If though they're successful, we form the ant trail and it begins to take off. So this 0.53, 53% of completers get jobs. This is your enrollment to placement ratio. The industry standard, that is 75th percentile, is 40%. The median is 29% for organizations with over 500 folks. We are at 53%, so we're sitting pretty good in the pack. I'm proud to tell anyone who comes to us, 90% of our completers get jobs. If you do as we do. And notice I said do as we do and not do as we say. We set the example. High standards, commitment, predictability, and a real focus on success, always taking care of each other leading by example. The gap between the 799 enrollments and the 457 represents student attrition. They are poor people. So minor emergencies, $200-300, knock them out of school. Family member gets sick, they get knocked out of school. And so we're establishing a student success fund so we can retain more students, because the market will be there for these people when we come out of the pandemic. We're just got a little pause going on here, but the structural shift with the boomers leaving the workforce and technology accelerating, that isn't going anywhere. The top number, this 200 plus people, it's our GED program. Since its inception, we've helped 300 people obtain their GEDs. We're going to get smarter at this. The reason being, the GED is your basic open the door credential. Most of the people coming to us already have jobs. They're not really interested in coming to Summit. They can't get a promotion on their job, or they want a better job. And here's an opportunity for them to come in to a structured program and get that certificate and move on. We had to alter our expectations. Some we thought it was a feeder. It's not, but that's good. We can help them earn between an additional $125,000 to $200,000 over their lifetime of work. That was fiscal year 19. Fiscal year 20, we're in the pandemic. There are no jobs. Graduation is up because they're doing it from home. Enrollment is down across the board. But like I said, it's a pause. We'll be back in 21, and our goal by 25 is to get to roughly 2,000 students. Now, I have a theory about a continuum of workers, a community of workers. The adults are the workers of today, but you also have to prepare for the workers of the future, meaning the children. So how do we get the kids involved in the game so that they have a future and they can provide for their families? Well, we have to set a tradition and we have to build a pipeline. So that's the other part of my work. How do we get to the kids, especially when in Minneapolis, let's just say that the school district struggles to educate the African-American kids. So we came up with this idea of a STEM district. And the STEM district is what I call the Disney of opportunity. The Northside Innovation Center, our new tech program, is going to have all the high-speed stuff at Plymouth and Penn, is the centerpiece. But that's the workers of today. We also have the workers of tomorrow, the kids from 7th grade to senior high. If you want to go to a military academy, and if any of you sitting out there were fortunate enough to do that, and by the way, you're about a 3%er, someone puts that on your mind in about the 7th grade. You don't wake up in your senior year of high school and decide that you're going to do it. It's a journey. And then that's workers of tomorrow. And workers of the future, I want you to think about Edina hockey. Put them in skates at 4. Get them on the ice and grow them on the ice. We do the same thing with tech. We got 11 organizations, daycares, a charter school, and church involved. We want to help kids get into STEM, adults, connect employers. Here's our future pipeline. If we build a 4 plan in North Minneapolis, crime would go away. One of the things we do is STEM Saturdays. Second Saturday of every month, we bring out a different topic for STEM. Right now it's virtual, but of course, the course of the next year, we'll do everything from engines to airplanes, all types of fun experiences for the kids. This is a K-8 initiative. Currently, we have the following partners: Target, RSP, Architects, Ergodyne, and a group called Spark Y. We're in a virtual environment. We intend to begin going back maybe in May, but that's unlikely. And we're probably looking more into the fall given the pandemic. We have a partnership with North High. We're teaching kids about virtual reality, artificial intelligence, and we're going to conduct a competition for youth to rebuild North Minneapolis. Not trying to turn them into architects. In fact, we don't even want to know that they're learning. Main thing is get them in, get them involved, and get them inspired. This is my favorite, The Beast, a World of STEM on wheels. It's a double-decker bus. It's got 30 stations on board. We can give every kid 30 minutes of STEM programming. And we got a little pattern that we're doing now with our learning pods. We're probably going to get up to 2 or 3 of these to deploy across the Twin Cities. So those are the engines that I use to carry forward the institution building, the community building that's necessary to provide us with the workers of today, tomorrow, and the future. I believe we're in a very good position. I urge you to consider the following. Our responsibility as leaders is to show unity and to show that we can work together in this city to provide opportunity and overcome the problems that we witnessed in the last 12 months. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be microwavable and happen overnight. But if people talk about a divided country, that's around a refusal to find common ground and work together. Tell you a quick story before I close. So when I was in Europe, I commanded a pretty high-speed unit. I was really proud of this unit. I had a rocket unit. And I was 27, and all the kids that were there were 18, 19 years old. We were very young. And because of Facebook, we were able to get back together over the years, right? Well, it turns out to the man, most of them are Republicans. I'm not. And oh man, they're big Donald Trump fans, and they're all about stole the vote and this and that. We're just arguing, going back and forth. And finally I said to one of them, hey, I'm sufficient. And then we moved the discussion to things that we identify with on common ground. And people wanted to jump into our discussion, and we were like, no, we can differ in our opinion, but in the end, we're committed to each other. And that's what I want to leave you with. What I do isn't for everyone. We don't need everyone. It's okay. It might not be for you. But for those of you who find this type of effort and it touches your soul, we invite you in and we ask that you tell everybody that this place isn't going to get any better than we make it. And I trust that Rotary is a place where these types of things begin because of the heart of the Rotarians. I appreciate your service to this community, and I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today. Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much for being with us. You're very inspirational. I love the words you're sharing with us today, man. You're right on point. I have a few questions I want to kick off our Q&A with, and then I'm going to let Ryan Wilson, our AB helper, to take the questions from the audience in the chat after that. So RT Ryback came to our club a few years ago with the Minneapolis Foundation, was talking about the achievement gap. We know it's the worst in the United States. How does your work dovetail with this dropout ratio? Are you picking up these children as they exit the school system? And then my follow-up is this new program going to help you, reach them earlier and hopefully keep them in school?
So the second one is yes. If we do this right, every kid is going to want to come to the STEM district and be a part of it. If we do it right, it's going to be what I call the Disney of opportunity, all right? And folks will line up to do it, and it'll have a proud tradition. You want to build a tradition. That room you see behind me is Sale Hall. Martin Luther King, Spike Lee, Samuel L. Jackson sat in that room. Tradition. I'm wearing a Notre Dame piece today, tradition. So that's going to get the kids because they are from a place where there is no hope. Nobody's going anywhere. They don't see anybody achieving. So you have to build that. In terms of the dropouts, I think that's a little, what we got to still it. My average guy coming in right now is 26. All right. The fastest growing group is 18 to 24, which is interesting because crime is a young person's sport. And by 24, they begin to age out. By the time most of us have graduated from college, getting the first job, etc. So if we can successfully drift down into the younger age groups, remember the ant trail effect kicks in and they go get their friends. They become walking billboards, and they are that video game crowd, okay, sitting there, interfacing with technology, and they can do the work. So we're optimistic about getting to them sooner.
It's better for them to have an alternative pathway if someone's struggling in school, as opposed to just the exit door. You know, these vocational pathways give them another choice.
Correct. When I was a recruiter, most of the guidance counselors were speaking to the four-year boys and girls won the marketing battle. All right. I got a daughter with $100,000 worth of debt. I couldn't sleep at night if I had that kind of debt, right? And there wasn't a house. So now we can say, hey, even if you're not going to college, you can make a decent living. All right. And you can always go to college later on your employer's dime. So you give them a sense of hope and something to attach to and an identity. And then that's how you begin to move the pile.
Awesome. Ryan, I'm going to turn it over to you for questions from the audience.
Thank you, Josh. So far, it looks like we have a handful of questions in there. If anyone else has a question, please be sure to enter it in chat, including from our guests. So this first question for you comes from both Katie Campbell and Andre Brewer, who both want to know how can Rotary, or Edina Rotary specifically, help partner with your organization?
Great. We need tutors. We're going to need volunteers. And the tutors, let me tell you this, especially in Summit Prep, where people can't pass the entrance exam. People come in 3 flavors: fully ready, not ready yet, and intensive intervention. We mainly see the top 2. There are people who come in, but they can't get in. So tutors. And to them, you're Summit. All right. They don't really care that you're a volunteer. So that's the first relationship. Next, we need volunteers for the mock interviews as well. Hire our people. That's the third and biggest thing that you can do. And then also working with the kids on technology. If you know how to turn on a computer, that's a good start. And we need people with the kindergartners. They don't push very hard and they don't need very much. So lots of room for participation.
Okay, this next question for you comes from Scott Neal. He asks, what support do you receive from the city of Minneapolis?
So one thing I learned real quick was that Hennepin County is $3 billion of misery management, and the city spends all its money on police, fire, streets, sidewalks, and housing, bottom line. So we get maybe $100,000 from the city on about $13 million in revenues this year, average 8 or 9 million. They're not a significant player. 13 city council members, lots of politics. Hennepin County, you don't even know your county commissioner's name, and there are only 7 of them. You only need to count the 4.
This next question for you comes from Rob Bredding. He asks, I love what Lewis said about common ground. The best place to do this is probably inside our circles of influence. Do you have suggestions on topics that you have found common ground in these contexts?
When I came here and started in the business, I raised money for a living, right? So that was a ritual. The guys would sit down at the table at Minneapolis Club. They talk about hockey, the kids, their pursuits, etc. And then we moved to the topic, right? We didn't just dive into it. And when I was younger, I was like, why don't we get into business? And then I understood that that was the business. Get to know people genuinely, all right? That's Step one, I always try to find something about the person I can connect to. If I can't find anything to connect with them, we're probably not going to go very far. All right. We got to find a way to connect. That is, so we can have an authentic relationship that we can really trust each other. And I've also found too that if you find out, I always tell my people this, it's not about us, it's about them. And that means whether it's a donor or the student, find out what the other person's interests are and try to meet them there. Anyone in sales knows this, but that's also about leadership and also about getting things done. I have struggled mightily with unions over the years. I don't need to play the race card with them. I just tell them they're dead wrong. And the owners of the companies, you signed contracts and you said you were going to do this. Now I know you believe in integrity. Let's move forward. And people respect that. They might not like what's going on, but we have been able to form relationships that have lasted over the years. Common ground, meet people where they are, accept the differences, and know when to walk away.
We got time for one more question, but I want you, Louis, to share your email if you're comfortable in the group chat so that people can send their other questions to you directly. Is that okay?
Certainly, I'll do it right here, right now.
Okay, go ahead, Ray.
Okay,
One more
so this next question for you comes from Don Hutchinson. He asks, which employers have been the best partners for Summit over the years, and which companies would you like to add to your list?
So in construction, Mortensen head and shoulders above the pack. I found that companies that have the names of the owners and the families on the company, you find the people that are committed to that brand and committed to the community. Mortensen became my partner at the Twins ballpark, and that relationship existed all the way through U.S. Bank, where we got 36% people of color participation. Now I would have to say in the mid-size category, it goes to Atomic Data. Jim Wolford, if any of you know him, he's a madman. He and Ted Mondale, they walk it, man. They do it. Not a lot of talk. They stepped in first and gave us a shot. Right behind them in the mega category is U.S. Bank. Andy Cesare is a real leader. I work with his people all the time. It's not a charity thing. It's about we're partners in moving this community, and I believe in them. And I don't, just say that. I wouldn't do that to you. They're for real. After that, I think we need to get our food people online. Cargill, certainly Medtronic, Abbott Labs showed up. A lot of Ameriprise is in with us. We want more. I want to end on this note and give you something. The major problem in the Twin Cities, why we have such disparities, is the fact that we do not have an indigenous Black middle class. All of us are imports who work for the Fortune 500 companies for the most part, and then don't have real ties to the community. So this backdrop behind me, that's Morehouse. You don't have that here. We got to build a middle class here, and the leadership for getting that done is on this call. The Fortune 5 don't own this town. The people who went to St. Thomas Academy, Blake, St. Paul Academy, Edina High, live here forever. That's who this town belongs to, and we can get it done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Louis. Appreciate that. We'll leave it there for now. We're going to be doing more stuff with you later. I'm going to turn it over to Jim Ryman.
Thank you, Josh and Louis. Wow. Thank you for joining us today and for sharing your valuable perspectives in so many areas. Just thinking over your comments today, it's hard to pick out something that stands out, but one thing you said really struck me, and that was that philanthropy does not end hunger or homelessness, The only thing that does is work. And your motto at Summit Academy, the best social service program in the world, is a job. Lots to think about there. Well, Louis, from literacy and peace to water and health, Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million problem solvers who unite to take action to create lasting change to better our world. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to Every Meal, formerly known as the Sheridan Story, an organization focused on providing weekend and other food gap programs to over 10,000 children in the Twin Cities metropolitan area. Thanks again so much, Louis, for your presentation today.
My pleasure.
Wrapping up here. Next week, our speaker will be David Schultz, professor in the Department of Political Science and Legal Studies at Hamline University, and a professor of law at the University of Minnesota, who will be sharing his speech entitled George Floyd, COVID-19, and the 2020 presidential election. And here's what we've got coming up. As mentioned earlier, the leadership series on the 19th. We've got the human trafficking events, not listed here, but that you heard about, and then vocational happy hour, probably by Zoom on February 3rd. Today's closing quote comes from John Robert Lewis, American politician, statesman, and civil rights leader who served in the United States House of Representatives for Georgia's 5th Congressional District from 1987 until his death in 2020. Lewis was one of the big six leaders of groups who organized the 1963 March on Washington. He fulfilled many key roles in the civil rights movement and its actions to end legalized racial segregation in the United States. In 1965, Lewis led the first of 3 Selma to Montgomery marches across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. In an incident which became known as Bloody Sunday, state troopers and police attacked the marchers, including Lewis. Lewis said, "Each of us must play a role to help redeem the soul of America, to help to create a beloved America, a beloved world where no one is left out or left behind. May the spirit of peace, justice, and love be our guide." Lewis, thank you so much for joining us today again and sharing your thoughts. We hope to hear again from you soon. And to all of our guests and visitors on the call, I want to thank you again for joining us and invite you to come and join us either in person after January 28th or again by Zoom anytime so you can learn more about the benefits our club has to offer. As you go about your week, remember that together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves, as Rotary pursues its mission to open opportunities and bring people together throughout the world. Meeting adjourned.